All right, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Today we have a surprise guest on the 13th of February, Mr. Tony Sayers. Thank you so much for coming on, Tony. His website is called transcendingtimes.org. He's someone that specializes in a lot of stuff that we've been talking about on this channel regarding implants, regarding these entity attachments. And so I was really pleased when he accepted my invitation to come on because, he has a lot of info regarding that stuff. So again, welcome, Tony.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Thanks for inviting me on, and hello to all your viewers out there. And yeah, just observing the next crazy going on in clown world. I see they're starting with the aliens now.
I know, yeah, it's so interesting that they're bringing this stuff out now because we were expecting it kind of last year, but I guess they were just prepping it.
Yeah, every day you wake up and I just can't keep up with it all, like the movie side of things. Um, and yeah, it's like gets a bit tiring after a while because all these people just keep falling for every single psyop that they put out there.
Right.
But what can you do? You just got to keep going with it. But of course, that's not where this whole thing is coming from. That is just yeah, as I say, the movie, the screen, it's all coming from the unseen, which is where my work really goes to, and from the sound of it, what you're talking about as well, the metaphysical, these entities that want to control and take over, and then of course AI, which seeks to it wants to exist in human bodies, and it's already kind of doing that through nanotech and nanobots and all of that stuff. So yeah, if this was a sci-fi movie, it would be X-rated. It would probably get banned, I would imagine. So
That's funny. I always compare this to a horror movie, but yeah, it
yeah,
is.
I don't know. Every time I think that I can't be shocked into something happens that shocks me,
Yeah.
and I just like, when's it going to stop? Like you think that you get to a certain level and you're not going to get surprised, but they keep pulling these different things, and yeah, it's incredible time to be alive, but also a time where we have a lot of opportunity. And what I try and encourage people is to really get in touch with who and what they really are. Humans are incredibly powerful. We have a multitude of different abilities that we're not even really told about. Um, and they know where the power lies, and it lies with us. And this is the grand deception of all the deceptions. And also, it's almost like the cosmic joke, because here we are as humans, which I believe we all have an aspect of the creator within us, at least the people that aren't NPCs. So we have that spark within us, and most of us walk around in our daily lives not feeling good enough, not feeling worthy, not even understanding who and what we are. And of course, their 24/7 propagation of humans are bad, where there's too many of us, we're causing destruction on the planet. It just adds to that already overwhelming feeling that most people have of just not really feeling good enough. So I'm trying to encourage people to, just remember, like, introspection and going within and really pondering on the fact that you're so much more than just this, physical space meat suit. And really sort of start tapping into your powers of God, manifestation, teleportation, telepathy, psychic abilities, all this stuff we can do. They're just muscles that we don't use, which is what my new course is all about. It's about encouraging those psychic abilities, those remote viewing abilities that we all have laying dormant within us, and we can do incredible things with those things. So part of the problem is we don't really understand who and what we really are, and we just go by what they tell us what we are, which is basically less than dogs. So we need to raise the bar in terms of our own opinion of ourselves, really. If we want to really move through and transcend this, mate, we have to get out of that kind of, or me, what can I do, victim mentality, of that about. And you know that people, of course, everyone's had trauma. We've all had it to some degree or another. Some people have had really extreme trauma, but it's our job to work through that and heal it. It's not our fault it happened to us, but we have to take the reins, take control of the reins, move through that, do the inner work. And, you know, that goes a long way to becoming more self-realized, because then those subconscious beliefs of not feeling good enough, not feeling worthy, fall by the wayside, and you really start stepping into your power. So, yeah, there's a lot going on, but they know where the power lies.
Yeah, I don't know if you've noticed, specifically, and I know you're on Howdy Mikowski's channel. You did an interview with him. So a lot of the stuff that happens in the mainstream that, you know, kind of gets inserted into the mainstream consciousness, I feel like we people with more of a source consciousness, more of a connectedness, pick up on that at least a year or so before that. For example, with this matrix idea, I was already kind of picking up nuances of it, energetics of it, and started talking about it at least a year to half a year before it. And even the whole truther community, we were still engaging with the UFO phenomena. We were talking about, you know, the CIA docs and everything that was being leaked. Before now, it's kind of being pushed into the narrative.
Yes.
I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah. I think part of transcending and see, the way I see this matrix is there's loopholes in everything. Like, I think a lot of people, particularly in the alternative media, they see this system as all powering, all conquering, completely like indestructible. And I don't see it like that at all. I see it very weak. And it's, especially now, I think, I mean, for example, an example of what I'm talking about is they created the internet to enslave us and entrap us, and that may still happen. But the point is we're now using the internet for things like this, to raise awareness, to you know, to put knowledge out there. And I think there's all these loopholes all over the place within this matrix construct. And I don't think that it's as strong as we want to make out it is. And certainly with when you go to the depths of where this is coming from, these entities, they are terrified. They're complete, you know, they rely on us for food, right? We're their source of energy. So without us, their game is over, really. And they know people are waking up, and this is why they're doing everything that they're doing. This is why things are so crazy, because it's almost like a cornered rat, right? If you corner a rat, it starts, you know, it starts playing up and getting aggressive and all that kind of stuff. And so this is what we're seeing. We're seeing as these waves of truth are starting to get bigger and bigger. The outward projection of the matrix is getting more and more insane, because they're getting more and more desperate. And the more things that they try, the more people are starting to, you know, look above the parapet and think, hang on a minute. I mean, I think we've certainly got people, friends and family members around us that won't engage in this. But I've seen down the years, people that I never would thought would question things have started to question things now.
Same.
And I think that's only going to carry on that way. So it's going to be harder for them to get what they want. And we all thought we'd be using these, you know, these passports to go and buy our grocery. Well, that hasn't happened. And
Right,
the reason
exactly.
the reason that hasn't happened is because there's an incredible group of people like yourself, and putting information out there daily, on the daily basis, getting no gratitude, no pats on the back, oftentimes getting abused, getting ridiculed, and then when you have more and more people doing that, it creates a wave. And people often ask me, you know, I talk about like negative entities and how there's these false light beings that are masquerading like angels and things like that. Even I go as far to say as the God is a false God, the God that we worship. And, you know, this is just an entity feeding on everyone's prayer energy. And, you know, why does it want worship anyway? I mean, how insecure is that? It's a narcissist, right?
Exactly.
And people get really triggered because they're like, oh yeah, but what, you know what, there's got to be some good out there. What's the good out there then, right? They need this thing to lean into. And I'm like, well, there's the good the good ones are the source players, people like yourself and other people that are, we're the good ones. You know, this is our team.
The good.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, but people want to, you know, they want to lean into these deities and these matrix belief systems that are put out there to keep people away from uh, discovering their own sovereignty and embodying their own sovereignty, becoming self-responsible, and you know, taking the reins over and yeah, leading their own lives. But people want someone else to do it for them. So this is part of the problem. But to go back to your initial question, yeah, I mean, knowledge is power, and when you, I don't even like the term waking up, but it is kind of like that. When you wake up, it's almost like your consciousness is enmeshed with something bigger and greater, so you can start to see pictures and perceive things before they even happen. You can tell and you can feel that something's off way before it's even happened. And I think this is what we're tapped into now. We're tapped into this wave of consciousness, if you like, which is leading us hopefully towards sovereignty, freedom, and a much better place on this planet in the long run. Whether or not we'll live to see it is another question. But you know, that's again goes into the unconditional love of the source players that are on this planet.
Yeah, it's funny because waking up, the funeral term for dying, I believe, is having a wake, right? So
Right.
technically, when you're waking up, you have to die to your false self, which I describe
Yes.
as the ego. And I
Yes.
describe the ego also kind of like an etheric implant. I don't know if you've gotten that far in your belief or what you may think of the ego, but I think it's kind of like the etheric chip implant that Elon Musk would like to physically implant in your head. And
Yeah.
that's kind of like the negative voice that maybe is the ultimate parasitic entity, probably stemming from the demiurge, because they do say that we got their minds.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that our thoughts are very heavily influenced by entities. A lot of the thoughts that you have, inorganic thoughts, are often from entities. So if for example, if you're sitting there and I don't know, you're watching a movie and you'll just start getting thoughts, you're not good enough, you're a loser, or no one likes you, or, that's an entity, right? So I think that they do have, you know, a certain amount of influence on our minds. But I forgot what your question was. Oh, in terms of the ego. Now, I've got a little bit of a different opinion on the ego. For sure, there could be etheric implants around the ego to keep the person really in their ego. But I think the ego has very much been demonized, especially in the New Age movement, because they tell you that you have to kill your ego, you have to destroy the ego. And I think that's a psyop because we need a healthy ego to exist on this planet. I mean, it's just the way things are. And without an ego, there would be no art, there would be no music, there would be no creation. So I don't think having an ego is inherently wrong. It's where you get stuck in ego, and you know, I don't know, you're just in ego all the time, and you can't see the wood for the trees because it's all about you. That for me, yeah, that's dangerous. But this whole idea that we need to destroy the ego and, you know, demonize the ego, I think that's very much a new age deception. And of course, you know, my YouTube channel, I talk all about the new age deceptions.
Yeah, no, I agree with you to a certain point on that. I think of it more of studying a lot of the Gnostic texts and the Nagamaris and even some of the Cathars. I think of it kind of like this final contract with the archons where you're saying, okay, by agreeing to this ego, I agree to experience this disturbed, destroyed, extreme duality that you guys have here. But you know, who knows? We don't really know for sure. I guess my question regarding this topic for you would be: how far do you think this matrix can extend? And also, you did mention in an interview that you could leave this matrix to through just intent, and I
Mm-hmm.
believe so as well. So can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah. So the way I see this matrix is basically a soul trap. And yeah, if you study any NDE experiences, near-death experiences, or pre-birth experiences, you see the same patterns running through over and over again. And because of the energy work and clearing entities and working in that field for nearly a decade now, I have firsthand experience and thousands of stories and testimonials of where people have been hoodwinked and deceived by false light beings, angels. People even thought they were dealing with loved ones and listened to the advice that they were getting from a so-called deceased father, and their life ends up a complete mess. They lose everything. So I certainly have a good understanding of just how deceptive and manipulative these beings are. And yeah, so basically what's happening is people are dying, and because they don't do any research in their physical life, they don't know any better. So they're dead, and they're like, oh, what's here? And then the matrix comes in, false white light tunnel. And of course, you know, there's so much propagation out there of going to the light. There's Disney films like Soul now, even like targeting kids.
Yeah, and I thought that was a really good movie. I'm like, but wait, Disney made this. How could this be the truth if Disney is handing this to us?
Right, yeah, and there's a whole like there was a really popular Netflix series about NDEs, and it's interesting because you start to see that what they're doing in these NDEs is they're using these people, sending them back down to propagate and to confirm the false white light. Oh, it's okay because when you die, Jesus is going to be there, or your friendly alien that you like, he's going to be there. So they're running the program from the fourth dimension down, sending people back down, and they're telling them, oh, you've got a mission. Your mission on earth is to let people know of this information. And quite often the person's like, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back. Because they know at that level, they know how dark this place is. And these entities are like, yeah, but you know, your son needs you or your dad needs you, like, and they try all these tricks to get people to agree. Eventually, the soul agrees to go back down, and they come back spouting all this NDE nonsense, which just goes to confirm people when they do pass, they're going to follow these programs even more. So it's something we really need to research in and be aware of. But yeah, of course, they'll show up as whatever your favorite flavor is. You know, if your thing is Jesus, Jesus will show up. If you are incredible, it's really triggering information for people. I get it, but what do people want? Do they want to be? Do they want the truth, or do they want to feel good? For me, I'd rather the truth. Yeah, if you are incredibly close to your granddad, maybe they'll use him, and he'll show up, and they'll be like, "Hey, come." And then what happens is the soul will get taken for a life review, and there quite often there's a theme of guilt tripping. They'll use karma. They'll say, look, you were a good person, but what about this time when you hurt that person? You know, that wasn't a good thing. And from what I've researched, the person will actually feel what the person felt. So if you punch someone, that they'll make it so you actually feel the pain of being punched, right? So it's really just they go really deep on the emotions with things, and then of course,
have you seen the movie Spirited?
No.
Watch that movie. It kind of details the technology they use to, in a sense, abduct people and recreate that life review for them.
Right, yeah. So and apparently the way it goes is you actually watch it on a big screen as well.
Oh, and
yeah, and so they get guilt tripped. Of course, the soul feels bad because I think the human consciousness still has empathy. That's our weakness. They use that against us, and then they're like, well, you know, if you there's hell if you, or you can go back and you can resolve your karma. And then the soul's like, oh, well, I guess I've got no choice then. And then, of course, that's when the most cruel thing comes, the memory wipe, right? So they wipe the memory, and then you're back down here on planet Crazy Clown World to be siphoned off by entities and, you know, all this BS that goes on being used as a battery, because it's an energy battery farm. And then then we engage in more what we call research. If you look at the word research,
Research, yeah.
how many times have we, maybe you and I have already had thousands of interviews in past lives, right? Who knows, right? So we're back around again. We're looped back around. We're researching again. And of course, we know that they've wiped out entire civilizations and done these resets and things like that to bury the truth.
Yeah, well,
And so,
they use the analogy in the New Age, especially, that this place is like a school, and we have the comparison of hell to like detention, and just go back a grade. It's okay if you didn't learn it, but like Howdy makes this great point. How do we learn? How do we accumulate knowledge if we keep getting memory wiped, right? I mean, okay, at some level the soul may remember, but if the mind keeps making the same mistakes over and over again, doesn't that just further fracture the soul and makes us more and more vulnerable?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that point, because there's a few things that I've got to do this morning. One of them was have the interview with you, and after that, my next video that I'm putting up is going to be about how Earth is not a school, and how this isn't a lesson, and how do you actually absolutely nails it with his point there, because right, how is it a fair playing field? How is this a school if you get your memory wiped? And so it's very cruel what they're doing. And this is why I'm trying to get across to people, look, whatever matrix belief systems that you have in this lifetime, please consider giving them up, right? Because they will be used against you when you pass. I'm not saying you can't be incredibly close to a person, a family member, but just have that awareness about you, that closeness may be used against you when that time comes. And that's really upsetting for people. And I've had people visibly get upset in front of me when I've spoken about this. But it is what it is, right? I don't make the rules. And so there's that type of NDE, and there's another one that seems to crop up quite a lot for the more difficult souls that are trying to be tricked. Some souls just don't want it. They kind of have a memory of the white light, so it doesn't work on them. So there's another one that seems to be running and I saw this once, right? I took acid years ago. I don't take it anymore. I wouldn't recommend taking it anymore, but I do have a memory of seeing this like Greek pantheon, like this old building, like majestic building, when I was on acid. And it was incredible. It was golden, and it was golden light. And I was like, wow, that is incredible. And I think this is what people are seeing, right? On this second kind of trap, because the other one is where they'll go to that kind of place and they'll see like these hooded beings that call themselves the elders. Now
the elders.
Elders. Oh yeah, L, right? L.
Yeah.
So humans, we have this kind of automatic respect for older people, or we used to anyway. I mean, I lived in Asia for a long time, and it's very much in the culture there. Japan, Korea, all those countries, it's respect to your elders. So that's already kind of in our subconscious. But apparently, this is a slightly different one, where the person or the soul needs a little bit more convincing. And so these elders come in and they use different tactics and techniques. And
really?
and so that's another one to look out for. And also another point to mention as well is the false white light love bombing frequency that they use, this feeling of pure ecstasy.
Right. It's not really love.
No, it's a false light energy, and it's used here on the planet with things like Reiki and stuff. It's a false white light energy grid where you'll get like an initial high, and then there'll be like a crash. But they love bomb souls. So imagine how difficult it is to walk away from this stuff allegorically. You die. Your granddad shows up, who you loved incredibly. Then you get hit with false white light love bomb energy. Like, no wonder we've been like hoodwinked and shoehorned back. So this is what's going on. And as I mentioned in my videos, intention in that dimension is instant. It's not like you can create instantly in that dimension. So it's not like here when you want something and then it will take time to manifest. You have to put the physical action in and all that stuff. In that dimension, it's instant. And the only reason that they've been able to do that is because they've cast this illusion, this trick on us all. So once you become aware of it, it loses its power. And what I'm saying to people is just, this is basically what I'm going to do. I'm not telling other people what to do. I'm going to set a strong intention to leave. And every day I affirm my intention to leave this matrix. And I'm just literally, my intention is going to be so strong that my consciousness will take me to either a point that I leave or however that manifests itself. And I don't think it's as difficult as people make out. I think it's about not engaging with any light beings and just being completely focused on where you want to go, which I'm assuming is out of this matrix. I think doing energy training in this while you're alive is good to strengthen your own energy, just to leave nothing to chance. But I do think that if you have a strong intention to leave, you're not going to engage with anything that tries to welcome you or what have you. I think that we will manage to get out of it. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I do some work with another kind of person that works with implants, removes these implants, and she also believes that simply by opening a portal to source, or
Yes.
the plural or source, whatever you want to call it, you can simply just poof, leave.
Yeah.
But that not entirely possible if you're still hooked into these entities, if you're still attached to them through implants. So let's get into that a little bit. How did you kind of discover? Okay, go ahead.
Just on one last point on that, because it's important. Yeah. The other thing is where they get people is where there might be a seed of doubt in that person's mind. So they'll be there. They won't want to go to the white light, but they're unsure. So they're in this kind of like middle ground. That's when they'll come in and provide the solution, like they always do.
Right. Of course.
So it has to be a very strong "I'm leaving," not where am I? Like it's got to be right. I'm gone. So I just wanted to finish on that. So your question was about implants. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how did you kind of discover the idea of these implants? Were you manipulated and that leads you to awaken to something that, hey, something's going on outside of this realm? And then how do we start removing them from our system?
Yeah, so with implants, I mean, I went on a journey with the metaphysical stuff. I mean, for me, it started with the chakras, the chakra removal. I don't know if you've heard me talking about that.
Yes.
But
yeah, really interesting.
Yeah, so the chakras are just an implant, an etheric implant that entities lock into our energy field and siphon off our energy and mind loop us all day. And I really stumbled into that by a complete accident because I was having my own psychic attacks from a group of people that didn't like what I was saying. And my energy was completely drained. I just felt awful. And I tried all these things, nothing worked. And then someone mentioned this to me and I had them removed. And then the next day it was like night and day, completely different. This energy just lifted off me. The mind looping dialed right down. And I was like, that's bullshit then. Chakras are bullshit. And it's funny because they make the most beautiful things in the New Age movement, all the rainbow colors and the lotus flowers, the most evil. So we have like natural vortexes. They're known as the Dantian points. So we have one around the third eye, the heart, and the sacral. So you still have your like natural energy vortexes. It's just they've overlaid it with these 7 fake chakras. And the months after that event, my own psychic abilities started to increase. I started to
Wait, which event was it? Removal of your stockings, or
after I had my chakras removed? Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. So I was energy training as well, and I was practicing on myself and friends and family members. But I started to just perceive more things, and I started to increase my clairvisual abilities. because we all have them. We all have these abilities. It's just they lay dormant. And I always say it's like a muscle. If you don't use it, you lose it. But because I was practicing, and the chakras, I think really it shifted something. I started to see and perceive things that look like the kind of stuff that Elon Musk is bringing out, right? Etherically.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, these are like implants. And then so I would remove them first from family and friends, and then eventually I started having my own clients, and I would notice the feedback that I was getting. They would get bigger shifts and feel differences in the body. A lot of we have a lot around our hearts. Our heart's very targeted with etheric implants, and so as I was removing them, people would feel their heart energy more. And so basically, I worked out that what's coming out now in 3D with the likes of the NeuroNet and the NeuroLace and all that stuff. It's already there in 4D.
Yep.
So it's kind of like as above, so below, and so it just went on from there. Really, 10 years down the line, I'm still finding things on people that I haven't seen, different entities, a whole range of entity races, and then entity races within those entity races. So they're like serpent entities. There'll be winged serpent or four-headed snakes, or so it's teeming with life there, but it's not really good stuff, which is what people don't like to hear. They want to think that it's like angels and stuff in there.
I mean, these angels, they're kind of working together with these other entities in a sense. It's good cop, bad cop. They're still policing over us, I think.
Yeah, well, these entities can cloak themselves, right?
Yeah.
So when someone can think that they'll be channeling Archangel Michael, and really it will be like an octopus entity, right?
Right, exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I was, funnily enough, right, I was working on a client a couple of weeks ago, and my thing is diving, right? I love sharks, I love the ocean, I love whales, dolphins, anything like that. So I'm working on this client, and I see a shark, and I'm like, oh, there's a shark. Like initially, like first 2 seconds, and then straight away I thought, no, that's cloaked itself. And this entity was so clever because it was hoping that by cloaking itself as a shark, that it would bypass me. Maybe I would start thinking it's like some kind of spirit animal or something. But I deleted it, and of course it was an entity. But that's how deceptive they are, manipulative, and there was, like I say, there was,
So you see it in your third eye, you're perceiving it as an image?
Well, you don't actually. People think that you remote view through your pineal or your third eye. You don't.
Right,
you actually remote view through your soul. The pineal gland is another implant, actually, and it tunes us into the matrix, right? It tunes us into all the trappings of the matrix. So it's like a receiver, if you like, in that sense.
Yeah. I imagine it like a projector, like the pine cone.
Yeah. And this is what I'm trying to say to people, that all these people are going off taking ayahuasca and DMT and all that kind of stuff, coming back thinking they've got the truth. They haven't. They've just got a layer of the matrix, the fourth dimension, which is all still part of this matrix. We go way beyond this matrix. So they're just seeing a layer of the matrix, but they think they've seen everything. No, they've just seen a whole group of entities, or entities that are masquerading and giving them loads of like false information, or maybe a lot of truth, but then there'll be the dump in the punch bowl, right? The one falsehood that's really going to take them off their path.
Right.
And I've heard it all down the years, I've heard it all with people and what they've been told by entities. And there's often quite a lot of truth mixed with lies with what they say to get confirmation, so the person has more trust. I had a lady who thought she was working with Archangel Michael, and Archangel Michael helped find her lost cat, and so she thought he was great. And then she carried on taking his advice, and she ended up like losing her house, and like all kinds of stuff happened in her life. So I tell people not to listen to channeled information. But yeah, of course, the stuff that we can perceive and clairvisually and remote view, and we can do all kinds of stuff, contract clearing, contrabands, past life black magic, voodoo, witchcraft, view past lives. You can do like inner child work with a past life persona that you've had. And yeah, so this is, like I say, this is what my course is all about. And it's getting people to learn the fundamentals and start practicing using their own energy and training. And because I do think it's good if you can increase your energetic strength. We're basically in a computer game, and so
Yeah.
you know, most of us, it's like a computer game. Our strength bar starts low, and then that can increase by what we do or what we don't do. And so with energy training, you can do so much. I mean, I had one guy, he had a bad head injury, and we just did this off the cuff, right? We were in like an inner child session, and he went back to a memory where he'd had like a head trauma, and so we dealt with the inner child. But then we went to the head trauma, and he could see where he's like the neurons where they'd split or something. And I said, just use your intention to energetically put them together. And so he did, and he told me he could feel all this tingling in his brain. And you know, we can do incredible stuff at that level. The world really is our oyster in that sense. It's just people don't know about it, you know, or they might hear about it, but they think it's a little bit woo-woo. But yeah, it's, and frequency work, you can do so much with, you know, embedding frequencies into music and things like that to clear things. Yeah, it's incredible what we can do.
Yeah, so you mentioned that, I know you've seen the squid-like entity, the octopus. Those are kind of probably one of the bigger ones, the more powerful ones, right? Have you seen the these are kind of like evolved reptilians? Because you mentioned it's like a hierarchy, right? These beings act from a system of control, system of power, with potentially the demiurge being at the pinnacle. But have you seen these evolved reptilians, dragons,
Yeah,
where
yeah,
they
yeah.
can manifest behind?
Yeah, dragon entities, reptilian. Then you've got draconian reptilians. So there's reptilians within reptilians.
Right.
And in terms of octopus, you know, sometimes there's like green one. Then there's mechanical AI octopus, and then you've got AI which hybridizes a lot of these entities. So then you have like a hybrid AI version of a reptilian. So yeah, it goes on and on and on, really.
Yeah, these octopuses, these squids, are more than likely usually behind these spiritual teachers, because they want to,
Yes.
you know, pull their arms, pull people in as far as possible, especially behind things like Reiki, or, you know, these gurus. Because when you receive, say, a healing from a person that's implanted, you then also receive their implants. You receive that energetic coding from them through that thing. I believe maybe Reiki was good at one point, but like with all of these mainstream things, even though they don't see mainstream, they were infiltrated, I think.
Yeah, well, the thing is with something like Reiki, you know, you don't need a third party. If you want to lay
Yeah.
hands and heal someone, you just set that intention and you work on them laying hands. You don't need symbols or tuning into that false light grid, which is what it is. That's why with Reiki, you can feel good for a day, maybe a couple of days, and then, you know, what do you need? You need to do it again, or there's like a crash, or just something feels off. I know when I did it, I just used to feel incredibly tired, like the days after, but not in a good way. Not like I was like clearing stuff out. So yeah, it's really the deception. It goes way deeper than what we just see on the 3D movie version.
Yeah, yeah, and then these dragonic beings are, I feel, are kind of like the elders, are the ones that are giving you the life review, are probably the most powerful ones. I describe them as the directors of this reality,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
you mentioned they do manipulate your reality around you. They do script your life. They do give you this astrological component to your life, in which if you just follow the script, you'll end up how your astrology describes,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. And in these NDEs, you'll often hear about the person choosing their script, choosing, you know, they'll get married. They can choose their body. They can choose if they want to be can be good looking, or their wife, or, you know, all this kind of stuff. And so yeah, a lot of it is scripted. But I think I think when you wake up, I think you're then kind of moving off script.
Yeah.
At least that's what it feels like anyway. And then you really become the master of your own destiny. And so I think when we've got because humans are such incredible creative beings, we manifest these realities. And if you have a group of us, soul players, source players, saying we don't want this enslavement system now, I think that only has one option but to manifest. And so that for that to happen, there has to be a crashing down of the old. So we don't know that, yeah, things look bad at the moment, but we don't know if this is just them completely crashing and burning, and we're going to start moving into a different reality. I don't like the new age term of like the new earth and everything like that, because that just teaches people to just sort of sit on their backside, just
Yeah,
just sit,
doesn't
just
show anything that you can do, like talk about this type of stuff.
no, you've got to be active. You've got to speak up. You've got to, do your own inner work. Like the inner work and the energy training, it should be essential for everyone on the path of awakening. Many people, they just get caught up in exposing everything, and yeah, that needs to be done. But if you're projecting at an unhealed world, but you yourself are unhealed, then you're still a little bit part of the problem. So, and I'm not sitting here saying that I'm fully healed, by the way. I've still got, layers that I need to work on, but it's an ongoing thing. So we can't forget to do that self inner work, and all the stuff that people don't want to do. And for sure, energy training should be essential for everyone, because we really need to learn how to clear this stuff, because it affects us.
Yeah. I'll keep you just a little bit longer. I have so many more questions for you, but I want to ask you specifically regarding sleep paralysis. Have you experienced that before?
Oh, yes. So the first thing to mention about sleep paralysis is I've kind of got a sadistic view on it, right? Because I think that if they're not messing with me, then I'm not a threat to them, right? So the first thing to note is that if you're getting sleep paralysis, then there's something about you that is a threat to the matrix. Now, that can be different in everyone. Not everyone's going to be out there, speaking publicly. Some people are just highly sensitive people. They're very empathic, so they're like a transmuter of negative energy. Just by being around them, you feel better. They don't like people like that. Someone might be here to, raise conscious children into the world. They won't like that, so they might be targeted.
Right.
So that's the first thing to mention. Sleep paralysis is not very nice, but if it's happening, then it means that they've got your card marked, so to speak. And that's not to say that people that don't have sleep sleep paralysis are also not don't have a purpose or a path. So yeah, and yeah, basically it's just really where. I mean, when we go to sleep, we're a little bit more vulnerable because we're out of body, we're not so much in control. And so because they're cowards, they use that opportunity to kind of come in on some dream and then lock us up and try and implant us or whatever they do, attach themselves. And so you wake up in the morning, they're very hard to wake up out of. I mean, it almost feels like your mouth has been sewn up. So you're like shouting for help.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And if you're single, you can be there for a while because you haven't got a partner to wake you up. So that's quite challenging. But yeah, and then you'll wake up and you'll feel like shit. So, I mean, I think I had sleep paralysis because I was doing this course over the last 6 months. Everything's been thrown at me, and like you can't imagine what's happened. I had like the worst kind of NPCs move opposite me that just play their music really loud and just because they target you through other people. NPCs just get taken. Yeah.
And I'm a soccer ref, and everyone's been going crazy recently.
Oh, you're a soccer. I play football.
Yeah, football. I play football too.
Yeah. So the sleep paralysis over the last 6 months for me has been pretty intense because they knew that the course was coming out. So But yeah, I mean, you know, it's annoying, and this is why if you've had it, it's good to be able to clear yourself afterwards, because you know, quite often when I had my last one, I just felt so much stuff in my stomach. They'd really implanted my stomach, and
Right, right. So that's what I like to challenge you on a little bit, because I feel like if you're having sleep paralysis, that means you're being implanted. So how can you, how do they still have access to you to the point where they can still implant you like that?
because as I say, when you're asleep, you're out of body, and so there are things that you can do to protect yourself. But I feel like the best form of defense is attack with these things. You can shield yourself and you know, set the intention to stay in your body, but it's this stuff that I still need to learn myself as to how we can protect ourselves better during the night. But the thing is, it's, once you know how to clear it, it's, you know, within 5 minutes you can clear yourself and it's gone. It's just annoying after a while.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, I know the only times I had it, at least recently, as more of an adult, was after consuming psychedelics one time, which was a horrible experience. And ironically, which I think that was the purpose of it potentially, it woke me up to the new age. It woke me up to
Mm.
love and light. It woke me up to being a better person, because I was a bit of a nasty person before that.
Mm.
Because in a sense, it was kind of like an ND for me. So I think
Mm.
that's kind of what my script was, to be able to promote the new age and draw in a large audience regarding that.
Yeah.
But
So that's interesting. So they used that experience to make you some kind of like not not leader, but some influencer to get other people into the new age, right?
yeah, another one of these gurus potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when did you wake up from the new age stuff?
After I had manipulation in my relationships from psychics
Okay.
and from these beings, when I started realizing, wait, if that was my biggest critical point, when I realized that these false light beings had the potential to, or these the reptilian beings had the potential to be these false light beings, and all of a sudden, then I was like, well, I know that person is interacting with these beings. I know that person is interacting with these beings. I know they're all connected. That means all of this information or readings were coming from these beings, and they wanted me to go that certain direction. So
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, well, this was just a giant manipulation.
Yeah.
But that was
Yeah.
kind of like last year.
Yeah. 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 They did. I bet
Yeah.
they didn't bargain for that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Because you get all these insights, and like you said yourself, and then you think, oh, well, this is good information. Oh, this is extra knowledge. And all of a sudden, where is your life at? Right. That's why we have to always challenge these gurus, because you question, where is their life at? How are they feeling on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah.
How's their financial status? Are they doing well, or are they just receiving millions of dollars from these billionaires that are promoting them?
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's it. It's about being discerning and really feeling into the person's energy as well. I would say with
Definitely.
a lot of these new age gurus, when you tune in to their energy and they what they say sounds very nice, you know,
Yeah, that was great.
unicorns, you earth, rainbows, great, sounds wonderful.
It's
But
a high.
you tune in and there's something just off key. And so that's what we're looking for. We're just looking to feel into that energy of the person speaking, and is there like a resonance, like a true resonance, or is there something that's slightly off? And normally, if there's something slightly off, there's, I mean, we all have entity attachments to some degree or another, right? But these people are pretty much fully hosted, is what I would say, and that's where you can really feel the, you know, the offness with a person.
So I guess that's a sign to ask you this final question. And I know you like researching the dark, kind of like I've gotten into it now. I've kind of become really a fan of researching this uh, stuff behind the veil. What's hidden? Not even the occultist stuff, but more that's actually not hidden or not shown. There's this guy Nathaniel G. Gills, and he's a former demonologist. He's kind of reformed that name into branching off into ufology as well. And what he's saying really is that these grays, these alien beings, Arcturians, Pleiadians, whatever, are really just demons. Are really the demonology and the ufology are very similar to each other, and they're just entities, kind of feeding on people.
100%. Yeah. I mean, they, you know, look at the word alien, alien, right? The word lie is in the word alien. Yeah, we're talking interdimensionals, and they're demonic entities that are cloaking themselves as aliens to promote this kind of, yeah, this what we're seeing play out now, this whole UFO agenda and all of that stuff. So yeah, don't be tricked by that, for sure.
Yeah, we just went full circle with the whole UFO phenomenon. We started
Yeah,
with that.
we
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. But all right, Mr. Tony, thank you so much for coming on. That's enough for today. I would love to have you back on again. We could discuss some more of this stuff.
Yeah, of
But
course.
do check out his course. Really interesting. I was looking into it as well. You said you put about 9 years of research into that.
Yeah, there's yeah about 9 years of research into it. We've got there's an ongoing support group as well, so it's not just going to stop with the course. We're looking to what I really want is I want people within the group to start practicing on each other, so they get instant feedback, and so more questions are being asked in the group. So you've got like the fundamentals of the stuff that I've learned over the 9 years within the course, but then also in the group that continuously goes on as well. So and that's going to be there forever as long as I don't get taken down. So
Great. Really happy that you're providing that for all of us and that you've gone down this path because we all need it. We all need to break free of these implants and it's leave this place unless you don't want to stay, unless you're happy with this,
some
happy
people
with
might.
this suffering. Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead. Um, but yeah, thank you again for coming on,
Thanks for having
and
me.
thank you all for watching. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Leave a comment letting us know what you thought, and subscribe to Tony's channel and mine. I'll have all his details in the description below. All right. Take care.